Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Wanna bet?
Steve P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wild, and Jesse Blake.
Oh, Steve and I are matchy poo today.
We're burgundy boys.
Isn't it good to be matchy poo with two of your three best, or one of your two best friends? That's what it is.
Math.
Matchy poo.
I wanted to match with Adam and also drink water out of a glass.
Yeah, what happened?
You guys are
What happened is I got sick of your complaining and whining.
I won.
You did.
I don't like it.
I won.
did.
I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable.
Now
with it.
everybody's glass is open and the water is
I don't like it. You know what it is? You know what it is? Because I have an open coffee here and there's no rum. But he's got all the electrical stuff over there. He's got all of it. All of it.
That was very close.
Oh, I don't like it. Oh, I don't like that. Stop that. By the way, shout out to the mixer.
Stop it.
Because the mixer that we bought, which was awesome, we had to buy a new mixer to do the show. The other mixer still works.
Yeah.
You poured a whole glass of water on it, it still works.
Turned it upside down for 2 days and it dried out.
I didn't even put it in rice. I figured there'd be rice getting in everything, so I didn't put it in any rice. But damn, good work. Good work, mixing board people.
Jesse, now we have an extra mixer.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Which is going to come in handy.
It's a business expense. Not that you give a shit.
We're going to have a 16-man pod. Like a Royal Rumble. A 30-man pod. We're gonna need all of the channels, so we need all the inputs.
Oh, here comes Julian with the chair. Yeah. And he just puts the chair down and sits in it.
What's the equivalent of going over the top rope? Like, how do we kick people off the pod?
Oh, man. Your take is so bad it gets you voted out. You just get booed off.
Yeah.
Ratioed.
Yeah.
If you get ratioed, you get out. You get kicked out. All right, everybody, we got a plan. Next episode, 30-man pod.
Guys, we have a few things that I want to get to from our listeners from last episode. We got a lot of stories from last episode. But we were talking about players that are on track for 100 points.
Connor Timmons.
And one guy that there was like 4 or 5 people that were mentioning this, and they're like, you guys are sleeping on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Is he?
51?
The Oilers have 4 guys?
Well, no. I don't know if he's on pace for 100, but as of last recording, 51 games, 62 points.
Wow, that's in the running. That
Has to be close. I don't know what the PPG would be, but that's pretty good.
Based on my math, it's 90-something.
That's
Starts with a 9. Wow.
Yeah, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins having a season.
The Nuge. Like,
Can you imagine Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Nuge? If you had picked 4 Oilers
in fantasy,
it would have been. You would have. I don't know. Who would you have picked? Kane and
Kane probably would have gone above him because he had such a ridiculous playoff.
Yeah.
97.58.
Oh,
my math is correct.
He's got to do it. They're going to get him it. Like if you're the head coach, like if you're Woodcroft and you stand there with your pose with your butt poking out like he always does, you're getting Nuge some minutes with Draisaitl and McDavid.
That power play is so ridiculous.
It's crazy.
If any team could justify doing a 5-forward power play, like I know they have like.
Who would be the 5th though?
You would have McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nuge, Evander Kane.
If Evander Kane's in, which he is. Okay. Without Kane, who do you do?
But like, who would play the point? I guess Nuge. I don't know.
Without Kane, who do you put on the 5-man Oiler power play?
Tyson Barrie.
The 5
forward. Without Evander Kane. Let me see. Let me see.
We got your D?
Jesse Pouliot. No, I'm kidding. No. We're looking at forwards. Okay. Klim Kostin for the vibes.
I like that.
Matthias Janmark.
No, not a vibe.
Not a vibe?
Klim Kostin.
I would want to put
the vibes.
Kaylor Yamamoto in there just to get him some minutes with the top guys.
To justify waiving Jesse Pouliot, which it sounds like they're on the verge.
They're going to waive him?
That sounds like.
Oh my god! The least won't have to make an upgrade. They'll just sign him.
When I don't know what that sound was. When they have someone coming off IR or LTIR, I want to say it's Yamamoto. And one of the options the Oilers may have is putting Puljujarvi on waivers, hoping he clears, and that way he has more flexibility because he can be sent to the AHL. But I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
You got to think that we're well past due on that. Like, as much as the Oilers won when Puljujarvi sat out and he's like, I'm not coming back. And they're like, well, then I guess you're not coming back with anybody, because if you don't come back with us, I mean, sometimes you have to look at relationships and go, yeah, I could win this fight and we could try to salvage the relationship of the player here. But I do feel like, even looking back on how things have gone, he did have a pretty good first year back. Probably should have ended that relationship. You probably should have just moved on for both sides.
How's
the weird thing. Beneficial.
Okay, so I highly agree it would be beneficial for Puljujarvi to move on from his Oilers career, and I think it'd be beneficial for the Oilers as well. However, if I'm Puljujarvi, I'm going, what can I do to stick out this season? They might mess around and win a cup.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I need to be a part of that.
Especially with Jack Campbell on fire.
And Stuart Skinner
being
as
himself.
The backup starter tandem. Like, what? I don't even know what you call it. They might mess around and win a cup this year, man. I do not want to get traded away from the Oilers.
8-0-2 in the last 10.
Yeah, that's a little bit good. Yeah. That's a little bit good.
What would you...
Wow.
If you're the Oilers, you got to think that... You would think that the offense is okay, so maybe you want defense, right? At the trade deadline?
I mean, if you can overpower the offense, why not?
Yeah, just make the hammer bigger.
One thing with their offense is I'd like to see their offense play better defense. Their forward group has never been strong in the defensive end, and they allow a lot of turnover and a lot of rush chances to the other team. And
a two-way guy.
Yeah, I'd love to see them. The guys they have now just play a better two-way game. Like, that doesn't really exist in Edmonton and hasn't for a little bit here. So if they can get that together, it's a very good team.
I don't know who's available that would do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that doesn't need to swing for the fences. Like, they need to just tinker around the edges and have a decent-ish third and fourth line, which has been a problem, and so maybe get a few more stops defensively.
They could certainly use a Kyle Dubas trade then, because a Kyle Dubas trade, he
Gavrikov.
Yeah,
that's a Kyle Dubas special.
Oh man,
yeah, or a Sam Lafferty or whatever.
Yeah.
Although all the charts on
price.
Sam Lafferty, by the way, and we'll get into the whole Leafs trade thing in a minute. Well, not in a minute, in a bit. All the charts on Sam Lafferty are like, not that good.
Yeah, they weren't good for Kampf either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They weren't good for Connor Timmins. He didn't play for 8 years.
That's true. Know? And he got an extension, which we'll talk about. The other, a couple other updates I want to give you quickly. Connor hit me up with this cool, Phil Knight, the guy who was sitting in the infamous LeBron picture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Nike founder.
So this is from when apparently LeBron was like a kid. And this is there is a book about, Phil Knight talks about this story, I guess, and he says this. The youngest employees at Nike seem to have it in abundance. They care deeply about the names on the streets and the buildings. And then they talk about LeBron James. In the middle of some event, I can't recall which, LeBron James in 2005, July, asked for a private word. Phil, can I have a moment?
Of course. 20 years old.
Yeah. When I first signed with you, he says, I didn't know all that much about the history of Nike, so I've been studying up. And Phil says, oh. And he said, you're the founder. And Phil says, okay, well, co-founder. Yes, it surprises a lot of people. And Nike was born in 1972. And Phil goes, well, born? Yeah, I suppose. And LeBron says, yeah. So I went to my jeweler and had them find a Rolex watch from 1972. And he hands me the watch, and it's engraved, with thanks for taking a chance on me. As usual, I say nothing. I don't know what to say. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
LeBron at 20 did that.
20 years old.
Now Nike paid for 40 bazillion Rolexes for LeBron, even at that point. But still, how cool is that?
If TikTok is to be believed, LeBron is 58.
Oh, is there
still kicking?
Is there a thing about him being older than
Trap House Sports that I love following because they're funny? Just keeps being like, yeah, LeBron used to hoop for the Spartans. And I'm like, hey,
Washington Bullets.
He's 38.
One of the cool things about LeBron breaking the record is that people are giving him his flowers while he's still in the game.
Yes.
And a lot of the narrative, which is so cool to see and to give him credit for, is that he's one of the few athletes to be so overhyped coming into the league out of high school. He's been followed since he was 16, and he's lived up to the hype entirely.
Yeah.
He's a person who's achieved every goal that's been set out for him to become one of the greatest basketball players ever. And like, kudos to him for accomplishing the peak of the peak when the hype was to climb Mount Everest, and he did it.
There was some conversation, I want to say it was on the CJ show, of like, is there anyone in hockey who has had that kind of pressure put on them, who has beaten the expectation? And a lot of people are throwing out Crosby. I'm not even sure Crosby.
You don't think Connor McDavid had a ton of pressure coming out?
Not like LeBron.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, not
It's
like
a different
that.
level.
Well, it is. It's also just there's just more people watching it.
Yeah.
The closest, honestly, you'd probably have to go back to Mario Lemieux in 1985.
Oh yeah. Right. Do you remember that story that Dave Poulin talked about? Philly sent one of their scouts and they asked him like, okay, so what do you think? And he's like, well, he didn't play any defense. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, well, how many goals did he get that night? And they're like 6. and they didn't like him because of that.
Yeah.
Like, what a stupid thing. By the way, one guy that had a ton that I always think about when I think about people that have way too much pressure and can't deliver was Kwame Brown. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Washington Wizards with
Yes.
Michael in the Michael Jordan era. Came out of high school.
Made him famous forever.
Did he?
Kwame Brown.
Oh, is that what I don't know.
He can't play.
It's a famous Stephen A. Ratt.
Bona fide scrub. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's mean.
No, that's tough.
It's tough.
We can play it.
By the way, what high school did Kwame Brown go to?
Sir Oliver Mowat.
No, which one?
I was about to say the same thing. Where did he go?
Glen Academy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like GLYNN.
That's right, in Brunswick,
Really?
Georgia. 1,900 students, 9 to 12.
Glen Academy.
Yeah.
I need to know more about Glen Academy.
Well, okay. Chartered by an act of the Georgia General Assembly on February 1st, 1788, Glen Academy is the second oldest public school outside of New England and the 7th oldest public high school in the United States.
Did you say 1788?
That's right. So,
What?
yeah. So
When was America founded?
1776, but the war ended about 6-7 years later. So like 1782, I think it's when it ended.
Shit.
That's when the
What the
history majors hit me up. That's when they surrounded the British in South Carolina, and that was at Charleston, I think. So
Holy cow.
yeah, so about 6 years after the Brits pulled out.
And it's-
America.
Yeah,
And it's spelled GLYNN.
That's right.
My family, because there's lots of different spellings.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. In
What?
addition, yeah, it's kind of nuts, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, has a really good basketball program, as you would expect.
Mhm.
And they have some of the original buildings. Well, not like from the 1700s, but they have some from 1840, and still like a legitimate school.
All right. Live podcast.
Glen Academy. Here
Yeah. Guernsey.
Can I play a little of Kwame
Coburg,
Brown?
Yeah.
Glen Academy.
Yeah, play the
You,
Academy.
I can't believe you haven't heard this, Adam.
Is that a trick question?
You tell me.
They gave up Kwame Brown.
Two
Who
first
cares?
rounders.
I could care less.
Tied into his salary for 4
First
years.
of all, understand something. When you're giving up first round picks, if you are a quality team in playoff contention, it really doesn't mean that much. That's number one. Number two, and
should
more
say
importantly, Kwame Brown is gone. The City of Angels, Hollywood, just should be celebrated. Throw a parade already, whether you win a championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory that he can do 2 times in a row. He has no game whatsoever. Plays no defense. Doesn't have the heart, the passion, or anything that comes with it. And you're asking me whether they gave up too much? Please, the Los Angeles Lakers knew exactly what they were doing. They should be celebrating right now, and Kobe Bryant should not be saying a word.
His contract comes
About
off the
anything.
books, and as you know, in the NBA, it's all about contracts. So Memphis now gets a lot of cap relief.
No, it's not all about
contract
contracts.
comes off the books.
Yes, that is true, but it's not all about contracts. It's all about contracts. If you're a scrub team, if you're a team that has Kobe Bryant on it,
I know.
looking for another piece to that championship puzzle, then it ain't about contracts.
Is
It's
Powell
about
that?
players.
Is Powell another piece?
Absolutely. With Kobe Bryant, Andrew Bynum, Derek Fisher, Lamar Odom. Understand, the Los Angeles Lakers did not give up Lamar Odom. They did not give up Andrew Bynum when they were in pursuit of Jermaine O'Neal. These are the
so
pieces
impressive.
that the Indiana Pacers were asking for when they were searching around the place all over the league.
Yeah.
You know, when
okay.
people-
Well, now they're using footage, so we're gonna get
when people call him a hot take artist. I get it. There are a lot of hot takes on that.
That's
show.
impressive.
That
But
is
he is-
art, though.
Yeah.
He is. Stephen A. Smith is just a phenomenal personality.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was the Stephen A. Smith mustache goatee era.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. Andrew Bynum, that's 2007, isn't it? Like, that's a long time ago.
And the footage makes it look like it's from 1992,
yes.
like-
yeah, because TVs have come so far in the last 15 years. It's crazy.
which is it's wild.
How did we used to watch TV like that?
that clip is from the lifetime of LFR.
Yes.
If it's from 2007.
It says this was posted February 2nd, 2008. So I don't know when the
It could have
clip
been before
from,
that,
but yeah, it could have been before, but that's when this YouTube person posted it.
You know what? That is amazing how he just rhymes that off the top of his head like that too. Succinct argument, clean, you caught everything.
That's a skill. Like that is something, a craft he has owned and he's a master at.
And
it.
you know how he started?
Yeah.
Radio. All the best TV people come from radio. All of them.
What are you looking at me for?
No,
I interned there. I interned at radio.
Podcasting is the same thing.
You came from YouTube, you loser.
Yeah, YouTube loser. Do what everybody else did instead of your own way. That's the only way you'll fit.
Go work at CKIS, you loser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that KISS?
Yeah.
Oh, there
Call
you go.
letters.
Or CKFM, which is the one I'm at now.
I'm trying to find the.
I have more on, by the way, Viktor E Ratt, the story of the Tampa Bay citizen beating up Viktor E Ratt, who is the mascot for the Florida Panthers. Now, this is from Noah. He DM'd me and he's like, "Listen, I got some info on the mascot thing." It's like people are like feeding me hints in my DMs now. They're like, "Hey, listen, I know a little bit more about that mascot story you guys were talking about."
I got a tip.
Yeah, I got a little tip. Actually, what he had was different footage, and I'm not going to show it. But essentially, before the recording started that we saw, and what you saw if you missed last episode, was a mascot and a fan fighting, and the fan jerseying the mascot and then putting him over a bar while the handler and security are just standing there
doing nothing.
So what happened was this, and then of course the line was, "Ha, you suck, rat.
You suck, big rat.
You suck," which is a funny line.
Which again, that man might have been sober, but that is not a sober sentence.
So Jesse rewound it right to the beginning. And we saw that Viktor E Ratt had the fans' Lightning jersey. We're trying to figure out, how did he get that fans' Lightning jersey? Was it a skit that went wrong because the guy was too drunk and it was joking at first and then all of a sudden it wasn't joking? Or what was it? So what happened was Viktor E Ratt was doing his thing at the concourse, where all the fans are, maybe throwing out t-shirts or whatever. And this guy comes up behind with this drunk guy who's a Lightning fan and tries to put a Lightning jersey on him while the camera's on him.
It gets even worse.
And then Viktor E Ratt, the guy in the costume's trying to grab the jersey and take it away because it's not going to fit over his head, number one.
Because what if you knock the head off?
Oh, then, that is taboo in mascot.
Why didn't the handler step in?
Again, that question, because here's the thing. When you see it on the concourse, people had it on Insta story. When you see it on the concourse, the handler is right there.
Yeah.
The start of this happens in the tunnel, and then it spills out in front of everybody afterwards.
Oh, can the next bit of footage that comes out be the interaction between Viktor E Ratt and the handler?
I wish. Oh, I know. I want to hear "You Suck, Big Rat" on audio.
Oh, I
don't
definitely
you want to hear
that? I just want to hear the super bad interaction between. Hey, thanks, fucking Judas. You fucking left me hanging back there.
No, but that's his job. He's not very good at his job.
Yes.
Watch out.
Yes. And you know what is funny is that apparently there were police everywhere. And in Florida, you don't fuck around with the police.
No.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Where are they? They're everywhere. I see, my parents are down in Florida all the time. I see Florida State Trooper everywhere. I don't understand. Where were they when Viktor E Ratt was needed?
Justice for Victor.
Anyway, so there hasn't been much more updating that story since, but I thought I would let you know.
What? Did they ban the guy from the arena? Do they know who this human being is?
Yeah. No, Viktor E Ratt needs a new handler. That guy's not doing his job. Your job is to handle the situation, and he stood around. What are you doing?
Like I said, there's two people in this world you don't mess with: tiny bouncers and mascots.
Why do you not mess with mascots?
Because they're all jacked underneath their suit. They're ripped like a bad shirt. They're all like the Raptor. Think of the athleticism of the Raptor, Carlton the bear, Duke the dog, Toronto. Just all of them bodybuilders.
I'm going to tell a story out of school here. But if you're a listener in Windsor, Detroit, you'll know these guys. And I actually I lifted an idea from them for the CJ thing. So there's a show called Dave and Chuck the Freak in Detroit, and they are the biggest radio show in Detroit. They're also in Boston. I think they're in Florida. They're syndicated, right? They're on 10 different radio stations. But they started in Windsor, Detroit, and it's the same market. That's why.
No, when you say Windsor, Detroit, like Windsor gets the signal.
Well, they were in Windsor first. These are Canadians.
Oh,
but they were so good in Windsor that basically Windsor and Detroit are right there, right? So all of that market essentially advertises to the same, right? It's all sort of connected. It's a bit of a unique place, and so an American station finally said, "Okay, enough. Come on over here." So I have a friend on that show who's the host. His name's Dave. And Dave started in Toronto so he was working as a news reporter for Chum FM and 1050 Chum.
Okay.
And he was the news guy, and that's how that whole show formed. So Dave was the news guy. Chuck was this just guy who was just crazy, just a wild personality. Okay. And, opposites attract, and they created this great show. But before all that, when Dave was up here in Toronto, he was a mascot and a news reporter. So
at the same time?
Yeah. So at Canada, and I'm telling Dave's story out of turn here, but I know he's told this on his radio show. So what he told me was he used to, he was doing weekdays at the Chum stations, and then weekends he'd go up to Canada's Wonderland when it was Paramount Canada's Wonderland, and he was Barney Rubble.
Wow.
So
no way.
He
Barney.
Said, and I said, so how, because, if you want to make it in media, sometimes you got to slog it, right? We've all done it. It's really, really hard. And in media, it's like you never made it. You're constantly trying to remake it.
So
it's
the summer.
So he's working really hard. It's in the summer. Okay.
It's hot as
so I
fuck.
said, so how was that experience? And he's like, well, you get kicked every once in a while, and kids surround you, and they swarm you and whatever. And he's like, there's that. And I was expecting to hear a mascot story. He's like, when it got weird for me was when I had to, and this is where it gets dark. Okay. When I had to report on the Paul Bernardo murder trial during the week, and then go be a mascot on the weekends.
What?
Yeah. And he was like the reporter on it. So he'd be at the courthouse every day. And then on Fridays, there's no more court on Saturday, Sunday, right? So drive up to Wonderland, put on your Barney Rubble costume, and get to work. Isn't that wild?
Dude, you got to be able to go to your boss and be like, listen, I'm covering this case for you. Can I not be Barney Rubble on weekends? Can you give me 50 extra bucks?
And they would have been like, we can find someone else to cover the case.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
I hope he's getting paid a lot of money now.
They have done very well for themselves, good. And they're a very, very, very funny show. Really great show.
Oh my God, that's not where I thought that was going.
Isn't that nuts? You've never heard anything like that, right? Just a crazy show. Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, yeah, and he got attacked by this lightning fan.
That's what I thought.
We were like, trying to lift his Barney Rubble gown, over his head.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
crazy
man.
Stuff. Crazy stuff. Hey, so I saw something on Leafs Twitter yesterday, and I have a theory, and I could be completely wrong, and I want to ask. You guys were on Twitter yesterday, right?
A little.
Did you catch it?
I was
Jesse,
too busy making stuff.
Not really.
Not really?
What's happening?
Okay.
I had to make 3 videos yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's quite a bit. 3.
Damn, look at this guy working hard. You got to do one tonight and tomorrow, too.
Making content. Oh, yeah, just making
Leafs have the home and home against Columbus. Their first game's back after the All-Star break. So after you can bet that, I want to talk about something I saw on Leafs Twitter yesterday.
Okay.
Because a couple of forces conspired to make it a kind of upset place. And I get it. I completely understand it. People were upset yesterday. We'll talk about it next.
You can bet that with David Bastel. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Get in the action and make a play. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
Super Bowl Sunday is coming up real soon, and Steve is super. You know how Steve follows the NFL? He's right into this.
Die hard.
Right?
Yes.
Die hard.
I've decided I have a new Rihanna pick.
For her opening song?
Yes. Well, I've narrowed it. I know that this song is either going to open or close the show, and I'm trying to decide which.
Okay.
Right Now. That's the name of the
Right
song.
now? You think that one?
Yeah.
I think she's opening with, here's the thing. With a vocalist, you got to open with something dramatic, and that's not too hard to sing. And that's why I think Diamonds is going to be the first one. She's going to come up on the stage. People are going to go ballistic, and then she's going to hit you with, like, We Found Love.
No.
That's what I think. No. Dave.
Let's parlay that into the next one. Okay, so speaking of Rihanna, we have a prop at Sports Interaction asking who her special guest will be. Right now, the favorite is Jay-Z. Drake is in that conversation. Calvin Harris. So it's almost like Do you pick an artist that she's teamed up with, or is it somebody completely new? Like Paul McCartney's on this list.
Is Nicki Minaj on that list?
She is not.
She's not.
No.
So that's an interesting one. I think a lot of people will just say Jay-Z because they did that song, but I don't know, because there was those rumors about Jay and Rihanna back in the day, and then like Rihanna coming out with Ring the Alarm, or not Rihanna, sorry, Beyonce coming out with Ring the Alarm, and then Beyonce, I know she won the most Grammys in the whole world last week, but again got shut out of the big song categories. Is she going to be? Are they going to want that? Do Jay and Beyonce come out?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I was just like,
The odds on Kanye got to be higher. I got to get a better payout
What?
than 5 to 1 for
Kanye? They're not
Kanye
gonna
coming out.
They're not letting
5 to 1
Kanye out.
Kanye
Not a
West.
fucking chance. That's a
way.
donation.
So-
What on earth?
I think even better than the who comes out. I like you guys have a Rihanna announces a tour bet.
Okay.
You can bet on Sports Interaction if after the show she announces a tour and there's a yes, it's
You should do it during the show.
3.4 times your money if you
imagine
bet
in the
yes.
middle of her performance, I'm on tour!
I think
Shine bright like a diamond!
better than 3 to 1.
I mean, yes, I take it, but I don't think it's going to happen. She's got like a 1-year-old, man. No one wants to travel with a 1-year-old. You know how much shit you got to carry around, even though she's got two.
Also, the correct answer is Calvin Harris.
He's so boring. I love his music, but live, he's like very boring.
Well, he's not a
Yeah, but
performer.
they're going to give
right?
him a platform so he can go like that.
It's true. Well, wait, is that Calvin Harris over there?
Or this one, where he goes,
Oh,
where they flick the thing.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
Got all his moves down. I love it.
cool. Steve's been studying. What else you got, Dave? What else do you want to talk about?
I'll leave you with one more. So national anthem, and it's big not only because you could bet on the anthem, that's great, but as far as the two quarterbacks are concerned, because both were MVP candidates, heck, one of them won the MVP. Where does the camera go first? Patrick Mahomes is the favorite at Sports Interaction. So does the camera sit there and do the shot at the Chiefs sidelines and look for Mahomes Kelsey, or does it go to the Eagles sidelines? It's a slight favorite too at SIA. So
I'm going to say
kind of like, where do you go
Eagles
with it?
first.
Okay.
And then they end with Mahomes, and I'm going to parlay that with I think they're going to sing the American anthem.
Whoa! Crazy. Dave, thank you so much, as always. And hey, we should shout it out. Mitch Marner just joined on with Sports Interaction. So welcome, Mitch. Very excited.
Big number
very
16, exactly.
If you're down at Union Station, they're doing a full takeover on game days. So you'll see Mitch Marner there.
Is he like behind the curtain behind
Yeah,
you?
is he at your house?
He hates the Jet stuff back here, by the way. Really pissing him off. Perfect. Have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
Dave.
Super Bowl.
Take care.
Listen, it's hard to stick to working out. And it was especially hard during the pandemic when, we were like one of the most locked down areas in North America. So I'll be honest, I invested in a Peloton. And it really, really helped up here, along with some other things as well.
It's funny you call it an investment because it was truly an investment in your health and your well-being.
Yes. And I think it's funny. I have a buddy that's a trainer, and he said usually when people are cutting back, the thing that goes first is one of the things that's the most important, which is your physical health, right? And so Peloton is more than just a bike. Everybody knows that Peloton makes bikes, but there's so much more than that. They also make treadmills. They have tons of classes like yoga, strength training, HIIT, and boxing, and you can do it all at home. And they've got a variety of instructors with different training backgrounds and styles. And obviously,
music.
Good music, because you get to choose your music, right?
Really good music.
Yeah, I like that. I always go with the 80s, as you can tell, as I'm sure you know. What's your if you're going to ride for half an hour, what's your playlist?
Oh,
Like,
I
what's
do
your-
the.
what's
Oh
your
man,
vibe?
now you're making me name them. I don't know, but it's. I tend to. I would fit in just great at any regular live Peloton class because I don't know. I just need like Lizzo and Megan Thee Stallion.
Jesse's embarrassed.
I don't care. That's all I need.
It's fitness.
As I ride through the Scottish countryside.
It's fitness at all levels. You don't have to be a super athlete to enjoy Peloton classes for every level. Try Peloton risk-free with a 30-day home day trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.ca/trial. onepeloton.ca/ home-trial. Jesse, what was your Jesse Blake Sports Report about your latest episode?
Masai Ujiri doing nothing yesterday at the NBA trade deadline.
Right.
Yeah.
It was odd.
It was an odd situation for the Raptors when they have an obvious free agent that they could move and another free agent that they could also move if they want to get off of the contract. One being Fred VanVleet, who's probably not going to re-sign, so why not just get assets for him? And then Gary Trent Jr., who they probably want to re-sign, but you could probably start the rebuild now and just move him and get assets. And they decided to buy Jakob Poeltl for a protected first and 2 seconds.
That's a big price to pay.
They were offered 3 firsts for OG Anunoby.
Mm-hmm. OG, I didn't agree with ever moving OG because he's
still young.
He's young, he's under contract, but he's unhappy in Toronto. There's been so many people who've reported it and confirmed it that he's not really happy right now playing for the Raptors. So if you have an unhappy player, maybe you get the 3 firsts for him before you lose that opportunity.
Now, maybe Masai thinks he can get in there and turn him around. Because, unhappy players, Jake DeBrusk, look what happened in Boston. Requested a trade and then rescinded it a year later. He's like, you know what? It's pretty good here.
Vladimir Tarasenko played 127 games before he was eventually traded after his trade request.
Yes. Wow. Sometimes you just have to like it or lump it. We'll get to the Tarasenko trade in a minute. But I saw some stuff yesterday from Raptors Twitter that I think bled over to Leafs Twitter, which is fair because a lot of people in Toronto are fans of both teams. Yeah. What also so we had a frustrating press conference with Masai Ujiri yesterday because he said he believed in them, right?
Yes, he said they were there. Now that he has Jakob Poeltl, they might be a rim protector away from just being a little better and having these young guys get something together.
He believes the playoffs.
He believes in the squad.
Now, to his credit, they were a 48-win team last year. Mm-hmm. So you think, okay, what's changed? I mean, they don't have a lot of depth, but what's changed really?
I mean, they've had crazy injuries all season.
Yes.
And I've found it weird as someone who doesn't follow the team as closely as others. That people were like, "Oh man, what's wrong with these Raptors?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Everyone's hurt."
Yeah.
Of course they're bad.
Fred went 2 months without being able to make a shot.
That too.
He couldn't shoot for the entirety of the fall.
Scotty Barnes played hurt a lot, and Pascal was out, and everyone was out.
So there's a reason I'm bringing all this up. If you're a non-basketball fan and certain people really like to tell you that they are. I don't know why. I don't know why it matters, but I'm creating a starting point here because some of this may sound familiar. The other person who did a big press conference yesterday was who?
Kyle Dubas,
which people found
underwhelming
and potentially frustrating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me. I think the person who always sums it up perfectly is Acting the Foolman, and if you're a Leafs fan, you got to follow him. Actually, if you're just a fan, you got to follow him, but. So basically, here's the big quote that was circulating. Some of the larger focus is always on bigger names, but we have to look at the people who may improve us overall, not just the big names per se. So what is Kyle Dubas saying when he says that? Don't
get your hopes up. I'm probably going to go out and get some random, and it's not going to be Timo Meier.
And so Acting the Foolman said, "Oh Christ, we're gonna get Rick Dicklish in a 3rd round pick while the Bruins go out and get Timo Meier."
Rick Dicklish.
And then he said, "Look, Kyle, I know I like you and your patient team building, but it's time to put some chips in the middle of the goddamn table. Just for the record, if you want to have a long discussion about how Dubas is a failure as a GM, go have it with someone else. This tweet is expressing my feelings, and also the pretext for me to use Rick Dicklish, a fake name, which made me laugh." Now,
that is also from the creator of Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit.
That's right. He's a good name creator. He's a good random name generator from NHL.
Ridiculous.
And the thing about Fullerman is that if you are a fan of Masai or Kyle or both, you could still have frustrating moments with them. Yesterday was a frustrating moment for people that follow the Raptors. With Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri, it's always difficult to get a deal done with those guys. The Leafs are in a different position. It's difficult to do a deal with the Leafs because they're so always up against the cap, right? And unwilling to spend, apparently, a first or Matthew Nyes or both for at least a rental. And so I think some of the negativity from Raptors Twitter spilled over and just became negativity on Toronto sports Twitter. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, the Leafs are fucked," and I'm like, wait a second. Let's look at that quote one more time. Quote, "Some of the larger focus is always on the bigger names, but we have to look at the people who may improve us overall and not just the big names per se." Of course you do. That's the GM's job. You have to look at overall improvement. But nowhere in there does he say, hey, we're not swinging for it this year.
Yeah, we're not going out and getting any of the big names.
So here's an example of a GM who said, we're not going out to get all the big names. Ken Holland, you can't go big every year.
He did say that.
A couple years ago with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl healthy in his lineup. He said, you can't go big every year.
And it's funny, similar position. The Leafs went out and they did that Foligno trade, and it didn't work out because of an injury. And it scarred, I don't know about the front office, but it definitely scarred the fan base.
Sure.
Ken Holland's is Andreas Athanasiou.
Which was?
2 seconds, I believe.
And Athanasiou played maybe 4 games?
He played 9 and did nothing in them. And also gave up something for Mike Green, who played 3 games.
And then retired.
Yeah, but the very obvious asterisk there is COVID. Which you shouldn't base your thought process on anything on one of the most unique happenings in sports history.
Right.
Right.
Like, everyone at that deadline got fucked. Everybody. Absolutely everybody.
Yep.
The Bruins spent a first-round pick on Andre Kase.
The only reason the Leafs didn't is because they had lost to a Zamboni driver several weeks before.
Yeah.
They didn't make a move.
Absolutely everybody got screwed. Yeah, and who knows? That Zamboni driver friggin' loss might have saved them from themselves.
Yes, probably.
So, like, Foligno was at very least, all right, let's go out and get this guy who hurt his fucking back, whatever. But you spend a bunch of picks on guys who don't end up really ever playing for you because the world stopped. I feel like it's a little different.
It is.
And Mike Green opted out of the bubble, if I remember correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it was an option to, they didn't force players to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, you know what, fuck that.
How about I
And he
just hang
didn't
with my
go.
family and I'm a millionaire and it doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for him. Like, whatever.
So here's the thing. Dubas is he's a process guy.
Yes.
Process guys are frustrating
Yes.
because process guys consistently do exactly what they've always done because it's part of the process.
He is process guy, painfully so.
And I was accused of saying that I'm trying to pump up like the Maple Leafs trade rumors yesterday on Twitter. I was accused of this because it's good for our show. That I personally believe, I really personally believe, and even CJ put out an article this morning saying the Leafs aren't shopping for shiny things. They're not.
Yeah.
I personally believe that I think they're going to take a swing. I think there's a swing coming.
We did an unnecessarily long, like 20-minute segment on the Leafs getting Lafferty and McCabe.
Yeah, we
Stop
did.
it.
Well,
Stop it.
But I also want to say that I do think that they're going to do that. But do you expect Kyle Dubas to come out and say it? This is why I think it relates back to the Raptors. Because the Raptors had already finished and they did next to nothing, right? They got a big man. Good.
Yeah.
Dubas goes, yep, I'm swinging for the fences. Now it's on him to...
Swing for the fences.
Every team he's negotiating with is jacking up the price. And if he doesn't succeed at getting his guy, the whole fan base calls him a failure.
What's the famous quote from 32 Thoughts right after John Tavares signed?
We can and we will.
Explain the context.
So it was basically like, hey, Kyle, how are you going to be able to sign everyone? Some people say you won't be able to sign everyone or something like that. And he said, we can and we will. And from that moment on, he was hamstrung, had to sign all those guys.
And the agents were like, great, writing that one down. Cool.
And
they made it hell for him. Starting with Nylander.
Absolute hell. I can't remember if Nylander was before or after. I think
he was after. That was that same summer. Tavares and Nylander was an RFA.
Yeah.
I saw there was a clip of me going around on TikTok where I was talking about Nylander after a particularly bad game I had, and now he's doing very well. The important context is the year I had that rant against Nylander, he held out for 2 months and then scored 7 goals.
Well, when you pull a take from 5 years ago, it's
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
doing?
But anyway, Jess, what do you want to say here? I know. I feel like you're about to jump in.
No, I wasn't going to say about the Nylander thing. No, that Nylander negotiations with Dubas, like that when you look back on it, I look at that as unforgivable, the way he handled it.
Yeah.
Because
wait, who? For who?
Dubas.
Yeah.
Because at the end, he gave him everything he wanted, and that could have all happened in September. Like at the end, he just said, "Okay, here it is, have it,"
and it ruined the whole season.
Why did we waste? It was 3 months, right? Because it's September through to December.
Well, yeah, I'm going like regular season.
And Nylander, and that team that year was just off.
Yeah,
they're a bit off. I mean, they were better than the year after it, but it was a bit off, right?
Some guys had like really good seasons. If that was Tavares' first year,
no, that was a good year. It was the next year where going into COVID.
Right.
The 1920 season.
No,
they lost to Ayers.
That wouldn't have been the same year. The COVID year is in the year Nylander.
No. I'm talking about that's the year before. So that did well. And then the
Right.
following year, when Marner held out right to training camp.
Yes.
And then he signed.
So we get the Nylander year, and that was a dark cloud over the organization for the rest of the season.
Yes.
Like the fan base couldn't get a hold of this team. Like they couldn't get on board with this team. And then the Marner thing happens on top of that. And then we get to Marner and we're like, okay, we're going to do this again. And then finally Marner signs.
Every year it was torture.
It was every year. And I think Dubas really, he tied his hands behind his back by saying, we're going to sign them.
No, that was the first Tavares year. That was, so you have all these guys, Marner, 94 points going into a contract year. Tavares, 88 points, 47 goals. Matthews had 37 when only playing 68 games because he missed a bunch. I think that was the Trouba hit year. That was the year Riley had 72 points. Kapanen had a 20-goal season. Kadri did have an off season, but Johnson even had 20 goals. That was Hyman's first 20-goal season. So many guys were having like the best season of their lives. And then there's Willie down there farting away with 54 games played, 7 goals, 27 points.
Wasn't good. That's what I'm saying. So that was the pre-COVID year. And then Marner's contract's up and then he signs. And so what I'm saying in all this is, guys, I understand after what happened with Masai and Bobby, who, in my opinion, and listen, they know fucking way more about basketball than I do. I think they made a mistake yesterday. I think they believe in their guys, and I think sometimes you get too close to the painting to see all the full picture, right?
Yeah.
I think they made a mistake, and I think that's the consensus on Raptors Twitter. Now, if they go on a heater, fuck me, right? That's what I'm cheering for. But I'm thinking with the Leafs,
you go on a heater to lose to the Celtics, you know, in round one, like whoopee.
But with the Leafs, I'm looking at this and going, Kyle Dubas has made this mistake before. We can and we will. What he should have said was, you know what? We're going to have to play it as it comes, which is a nothing answer to a tough question that never gets requoted. We'll just have to play it as it comes. We'll have to take it situation by situation. And if you look at the way Kyle Dubas has handled the media since, first off, he's only ever available like 4 times a year, right? He's rarely ever interviewed.
And there's never any runway leading up to it.
It's like he's doing it now.
Yeah, no, you find out, yesterday I think the runway was 3 hours. Which, like, to the reporters, it's like, all right, you better get here.
Right. Right.
I was at a Marley's practice once that all of a sudden every reporter was at, and I was like, why is everyone here? This is Marley's practice. Mm-hmm. It's usually me and like a couple other people. And it's like, oh no, Dubas is doing an availability today. And we were all like, what? Holy shit.
Yeah. I understand the negativity. I get where it comes from. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I want him to come out and go, fucking right. We're firing it all at the wall, baby. Let's go.
But it makes his life hard.
It makes and it makes the asking price go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's already the Toronto Maple Leafs. You pay a tax for that.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, he had to kind of let the air out of the balloon so that if something big does happen, and I really still think that they must be thinking, we got to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, do the Toronto Maple Leafs honestly ask yourselves? They got to think, okay, we're at least close to par with Tampa in the regular season, perhaps not in the playoffs. But is Jake McCabe, let's say, I'm using him as an example, who's a very good defenseman, strong in his own right.
It kind of seems like a foregone conclusion.
Would make the team much better, certainly, the overall per se thing. Is Jake McCabe going to be the one that pushes you over the edge? No. And here's why I think they're going to do a big deal, because last year they almost did. Last year, it was almost Fleury and Hagel for 2 firsts and Matt Nyes. That was the trade. For some reason, somewhere, I believe in the Leafs front office, that was nixed.
Also, Hagel's unreal.
And that's the thing is, Hagel has eaten opponent. He ate the Leafs up last playoffs, and he's eaten people alive. I think he's got 42 points in 51 games or something. Listen, this guy has taken swings, will take swings. Let's have a little faith here, and I'm not just doing it for the clicks, guys. Yeah, the proof's in the pudding. The last time the Leafs drafted in the first round with their first pick, with their own first pick, was Timothy Liljegren in 2017. Don't tell me they haven't gone out and tried to get better and tried to do these things. Not everything's been gone at the trade deadline, but Kevin Papetti pointed that out, and he's right. They have not drafted with their own first-round pick since Timothy Liljegren.
Oh, because Amirov was the Penguins. Oh, I was like, no, that's not right. Apparently it's right.
Also, I liked Stephen A. Smith's clip from earlier where he said, if you're a really good team, your first-round pick's not worth that much.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and like even if the Leafs get knocked out in the first round, you're talking like mid-20s. Mm-hmm. 25th.
Yeah, this is a 4th place in the league team right now.
And the Leafs draft really well in the second round. Look what they've done.
4th place team in the league, might finish 3rd in the division. Please kill me.
Crazy. It's crazy. Now, Connor Timmins, big extension yesterday.
Yeah.
2 years, $1.1 million per season. And it's interesting because, if you look at, Dom's player cards, he said, listen, if at $1.1 million, expect the player to be replaceable, and he's got his warts, but offensively, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Brings a lot.
We've seen a few plays where, holy shit, does he get overwhelmed defensively? But he's got 12 points in 18 games, which that's 1 point back of Liljegren. He's either tied or ahead of Hall. Like the guy knows how to create offense, and he can be an option on the power play and all that. And here's the thing. Let's say it goes completely sideways and he's garbage. Send him to the minors. Yeah, but Steve, the cap hit. What cap hit? There's no cap hit. 1.1 million can be fully buried.
Oh, is that right? Is that where it's at now?
It can be fully buried. I don't remember what the cutoff is. It's 1.2, 1.25, or 1.3. It's more than 1.1.
Who's the guy in the Leafs front office who's the capologist?
Brandon Pridham.
You should replace him. That was very good. Very good knowledge.
Yeah, numbers guy Steve over here.
Yeah, he did a good job with that.
And thank you. I don't like the note of surprise, but okay. The other thing is, and I forgot to mention this in my video, at the end of his contract, he'll still be an RFA.
Oh, nice.
So they have a little bit of control. There is nothing in the world wrong with that contract.
You better watch out, Mr. Pridham.
Better watch
Look
out.
at all that.
Sorry,
watch your ass, Brandon!
Look at all that cap knowledge.
Steve will move into Kyle's shitty office. I can't wait. You'll be there throwing magnets at the wall.
More like, let's go clear out your office, Brandon. That's what all the people wearing red hats were saying. Let's go clear out your office, Brandon.
Brandon Pridham.
Yeah, let's go Brandon Pridham. Yeah, no, it's a good deal. They now have locked up next year Brody, Liljegren, and Timmins as their right side, and they can add to that, obviously. 1.1 for a good defender who maybe isn't even an everyday defender. It's still not outrageous.
What? Okay, so I'm assuming, and Dubas being a process-driven guy, I could be way wrong on this one. My assumption is Justin Hall is either gone or he's back at a contract similar to this, right? So what does Hall bring that Timmins does not? Is Timmins a replacement player for Justin Hall, and is he comparable?
People are gonna roll their eyes, but it's true. I'm sorry. Hall is a better defensive player. He's a penalty kill option. He's a better defensive player. Connor Timmins helps you move the puck a little bit better. Connor Timmins helps you put the puck in the other team's net a little bit better. You got to basically decide what you want. I could see some sort of trade happening where Hall is moved out this year.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, but it would have to be a 3-way deal, I think, for it to make any kind of sense. To make the money work, and like no selling team is going to take Hall. Like that doesn't make any sense unless A, they have goals of signing him, or B, they want to do what the Leafs did with like Ole Jokinen a few years ago, where they take a guy and have him play a few games while they work on flipping him. Right? So you try to recoup the assets. The Leafs could trade him somewhere, take a pick, and then turn around and give that to someone else. But how about this? Just keep Hall as an own rental. You're not going to get... This isn't JVR. You're not going to get wild value for Justin Hall.
They could have got a ton for JVR.
Yeah, you could have got a lot for JVR. Justin Hall, like Connor Timmins, just because he got this contract extension, it doesn't mean he needs to be an everyday player for you. Frankly, I don't know if he's earned being an everyday player. Next year, he might be better. He'll be a year older. He'll be in his mid-20s. He won't be coming off of major rehab and surgery. But this year, why not just stack yourself with Riley, Brody, Liljegren, Sandin, Giordano, Hall, Timmins, Jordy Ben, Victor Mete hopefully comes back healthy. Hollowell is a depth option. Crawl is way.
They've all drawn in, by the way. All of those players have played for the Leafs.
Played, and Carl Dahlstrom will, I think, eventually come off LTIR. Like, they don't need to go out and get a defenseman unless it's an upgrade.
And Jake McCabe, maybe that's the guy that keeps being linked to the Leafs. What are your thoughts on that? Where does he fit in that?
He would be an upgrade on the top six. Probably force out. That's a difficult one because I believe he's a lefty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to force Sandin down?
He shouldn't be doing that. I think people are underrating how useful Justin Hall is to this lineup.
He drives me fucking crazy sometimes, though, and I get that.
He makes big mistakes, and when he's off his game, it looks bad. It's very apparent when he doesn't have it, but he's a very useful defender playing on the PK, and when he's on, he can jump up in the rush, and he has that ability, and we've seen that occasionally throughout the season.
Third pair Justin Hall is A-okay with me. Anything above that, not A-okay with me. Like, I don't mind getting through the regular season with something like that. Game one of the playoffs, he needs to be third pair or seventh guy.
I like Hall Geo.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But it's the sort of thing you can upgrade.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I saw, I think it was Kevin Papetti, he's like, I wouldn't hate if the Leafs went out and got this guy as a depth option. I hate it on principle. I don't think the Leafs should be going out and getting depth options on D. They should be going out and getting improvements up front. You can go out and get a depth option. I'd like to see an improvement there, but you can get a depth option. On D, they have 1 million depth options. Improve if you can. Improv with an E. Improve. That's what they need.
One of Hall, Liljegren, Sandin, not Brody, not Riley, not Geo. So one of those three has to be pushed out for something.
Sandin might get pushed out.
Hall, Liljegren, or Sandin. And it's an interesting dilemma here for Keefe and Dubas because like all of them look good at times and are very useful in the roles they play, but you can probably do better.
I wonder too, all the injuries this year have forced Sheldon Keefe to do stuff that clearly he doesn't want to do. And I like it because it's forced him to put some trust in a guy like Rasmus Sandin. Whereas before, if Rasmus Sandin made a mistake last year, even as late as last year, he'd be out of the lineup for a couple of games.
It might happen.
But that's
if they improve the D-core.
Is that's who you're leaning towards?
But I think he's worth...
Dude, he's had too many blunders.
Well, I also think he missed some time. There's like a lot of...
Everyone's missed some time.
Right, but when he gets a little bit of runway with Liljegren, they look good together.
Then what happens when you put him with anyone else?
That's why you leave them together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or you take them out of the lineup, yeah.
Or you take Liljegren and you go... So what the difference between Liljegren and Sandin, and they'll get compared to each other because of the age and also their contracts are identical.
And they played together for years with the Marlies.
And they played together, is Liljegren, when placed with other players higher or lower in the lineup, has looked good. Sandin, when taken out of his comfort zone, has struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come up with this reason or that reason. I know his numbers are great, but a lot of that has to do with sheltering and situation. Sheldon Keefe does a good job with Rasmus Sandin, whereas Liljegren, he doesn't have to. He just puts him wherever he wants.
Mm.
So if you're able to get a guy who's an improvement on your right side, I think something I would actually like to see is you have a right side of new guy, Liljegren,
Broads?
No, I see, because what I'm trying to do is push Broads to the left. because he played a little bit of left this year, and I liked him there. And then
With who? The new guy?
He came back from injury and he played with Timmins, and they were unreal.
Right. No, I mean like you're trying to push him to the left with the new guy.
Not necessarily.
Or you're trying? Okay.
New guy can go with Riley.
Right.
Liljegren can go with Riley, and then you have Brody Gio, like as guys on your left. You see, what I'm getting to is guys currently in the lineup need to be pushed out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
It would improve you, and then someone gets hurt, and you go, here's exactly where we were.
Because it's an interesting discussion because we've talked about, hey, they need defensemen, but they also need the forward, and I think we're all kind of landing on they should do both.
Yeah, do both.
Get your top 6 left wing, go get your defenseman. And I think Kyle Dubas is going to do it, but not in the way we think he is going to, because he never does. It's never the obvious move. It's going to be some sort of sneaky, I don't know if it's a 3-way, if it's your idea where he always gets it from the one team and he does the one deal that gets both options. But I think both those options, they're so obvious that he's going to find a way to do it.
He could potentially go out and do an almost identical trade, because one of the guys I missed on Chicago, they could go out and get Jake McCabe, and then we're talking about how Lafferty has another year left on his deal. You know who else has another year left on his deal? Colin Blackwell.
Nah. There was some linking of the Leafs to Boone Jenner a week and a half ago, and it was going to cost a lot. It just didn't seem. And Boone Jenner's a great player, but it just seemed like another center's not the end of the world. Tough. Great leader.
One thing, and I think this take is going to be tremendously unpopular, but here it goes. Bunting needs to be pushed down.
Wow.
He does.
What?
I'm sorry. They're going to have to run into a team like the Lightning or Bruins, and in his last game, what did he show himself to be other than an enormous liability?
Oh, no.
Enormous liability.
No.
Sheldon Keefe does not play him in defensive situations. That's a tough thing for your number one left winger to be.
Sure.
You don't try. You're replacing him with Zach Aston Reese in defensive situations. That's not a number one left winger you 100% trust. And he's lost the favor of the officials, rightly or wrongly. That hurts the team. And we can't see him, or we can't trust him to hold his temper. I haven't seen a player come full undone like that against the Bruins in a long time. And did he have a point? Yeah. He was cut and bleeding and there was no call, but he came full undone. He's lost favor with the refs, and his own coach doesn't trust him in defensive situations. You need an improvement on the
You're
left
talking
line.
like this is Kadri coming off of 2 straight years of being suspended.
3 straight.
3 straight.
Remember,
I
he did
think
get
Bunting
suspended in
coming off
Colorado.
of 2 and then going into the third one. That's why it went back.
My bad.
Bunting can be tremendous for this team, and you need him in the playoffs. And I think one of the things that could have maybe pushed the Leafs over the edge against Tampa is if Bunting hadn't been hurt. Because remember, he was playing hurt, and I want to say he was lower in the lineup. I can't remember exactly what the lines were. But recently, guys have needed to take a bigger role in this team. And Tavares' play has elevated in the absence of Matthews, hasn't necessarily converted into goals. Marner has had to elevate his game. Nylander, we need a little bit more out of Nylander. You need more out of Bunting.
You need more. What are you talking about? You need more out of Nylander.
More than Nylander. He's been amazing.
He's leading the team in scoring.
You need more out of him with Matthews out of the lineup. You can't tell me he can just give the same effort and get the same result. No, you don't have Austin Matthews, the center you were playing with. Jesse.
William
Jesse's upset.
Nylander has been just fine. He's going to score 45 goals and lead the team in scoring.
Jesse, I agree.
Okay.
But
so what are you getting at?
Matthews in the lineup.
Yeah. Matthews will be there for the playoffs. Now we're talking about Michael Bunting not showing up in the playoffs.
As long as Matthews is out of the lineup, all the big names who aren't Austin Matthews have to elevate their game.
Yeah, no, these 3 games. Yeah, they definitely need to do that.
3 games.
Yeah, no, they need to show up versus the 2 games versus Columbus. They need to show up for that Chicago game. The Ottawa Senators, whoever else was playing.
They got killed.
The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. I don't know.
They always lose to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton
They did.
Penguins.
7-2 last year.
Against Crosby and Malkin. They always lose against the fucking
I
Wilkes-Barre
thought we were
Scranton
having a
Penguins.
conversation about the playoffs and Michael Bunting being pushed down for that, and then all of a sudden I hear William Nylander needs to play better. So
All right, you're getting distracted by the wrong thing.
okay.
He needs to be playing. He being Michael Bunting,
Yes.
needs to play
Selected
his
that.
best hockey. This is when everyone needs to hit their stride,
Right.
And he is
His point totals are there. 15 goals, 20 assists.
yes,
But you're talking about away from the puck. He is shocking defensively sometimes.
sometimes.
Sometimes
But
he's not
also-
like terrible, but it's always sometimes you're like
The
oh, Michael,
playoffs
come
are
on.
a different game. You can get away with murder in the playoffs. I
Yes.
feel like Michael Bunting is going to thrive when he's a hothead in the playoffs.
Yeah, because you can get away with more. But every year, it seems like the Leafs are the team that get dinged for some sort of act of aggression and or violence against a team that is actually more aggressive and tough. The Bruins thing, the officials let that game get completely out of hand in 2019. Okay, fine, whatever. Who got dinged for it? Kadri. It's 5 minutes into game 1 against Tampa. Who gets dinged? Kyle Clifford.
Oh my God, that was so bad.
5 in a game.
Why was he
and
on
a
the ice?
suspension. 5 in a game.
Also, if you
and
look
a
at that
suspension.
hit, it compared to some of the other hits thrown later in that series,
Yeah.
it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But remember, they called that game super tight, and then later in the series, they just like, nah, no more.
We know for a fact that the league watches games refereed, games played by the Leafs that are refereed. They watch it a little closer. We know that for a fact.
Dude,
Games that happen in Toronto they're under a microscope.
Clifford, game 1 of the playoffs, got suspended, and then if I'm not mistaken, the next suspension in the Stanley Cup playoffs was Evander Kane on Nazem Kadri in the 3rd round. Jamie Benn got fined in back-to-back playoff games. It was fine. It's fine. What is the point of a fine? If you fine a guy in back-to-back games and it's cool.
Here's one of these things is not like the other. You don't pay to watch Kyle Clifford play hockey. The rest of those guys, you do.
But again, like the standard is, okay, a guy gets 5 in a game in the first 10 minutes of a game. Generally speaking, we're like, okay, that's your game suspension.
Yeah. That's how it should be every time.
But the Leafs killed it off. And I guess because they weren't punished for it with a goal or 2 or 3, costing them a playoff game, he got essentially 2 games. And then I don't think we ever saw him again.
No.
I don't know. Listen, if you're able to get a guy who can play on your top left wing, then you have Guy Matthews-Marner or Guy Matthews-Nylander. Then I would put Bunting with Tavares and either Marner or Nylander. Then you put Yarncroke in this nice little 2-headed role where he can add a little bit of offense and defense with Kampf, unless you get a guy,
Engvall.
and Engvall. And then you have your 4th line of whoever's left.
So you're just asking for Bunting to be taken off of Matthews' wing.
Or play better and show you can do this.
Right.
All we learned in the Bruins game is they're going to use you.
What about
you are
his
going to be an
performance?
asset of the Boston Bruins if the playoffs start today, if you play and act like that.
What about his performance last year versus Tampa? Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it, but like,
hurt, like you said.
No, I give him a mulligan on it because he was playing hurt.
Right. Oh, we'll see.
He wasn't engaging as much as he normally would have because he was hurt. Now he's fully healthy. He's ready to go anybody and lose his mind on the officials. And dude, how many times do we need to see that bite the Leafs for us to be like, oh yeah, no, this is going to be fine. I think the way he's played recently is going to be a problem if he's the top line left winger heading into the playoffs. And this is a player I like. This is a player who I hope the Leafs re-sign. But if we're talking about places where they need to improve, they need to improve there. The Bruins will target him. Corey Perry and the Lightning and Patrick Maroon and all of them will target him. if you're doing your scouting of the Leafs, how do we get under their skin? How do we get them onto the penalty kill? That guy. That is my number one target. That guy. He's on their top line. I'll send Maroon and Perry and Belmar, dudes who play 12 minutes a game max, and I'm going to take off your number one left winger. LMAO. Teams will expose that.
That's an interesting point.
Teams will expose that.
Okay.
He has to be smarter, or they got to find someone smarter.
Or they could find someone and he gets smarter, and they get through to the second round. How about that?
There you go.
Woo!
There you go.
Boo, 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 boo. Hey, if you think you know which way it's going to go, make your bet at Sports Interaction. Guys, Super Bowl 57.
What is that?
Woo! You never heard of the Super Bowl?
No.
It's a bowl and it's super.
I've never heard of 57.
Check it out. You can get all the action at Sports Interaction. Pre-game, live and play. Prop bets are great. My favorite one is the Rihanna one. Which song is she going to lead with? And I think there's a healthy debate to be had about it. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now to see all that sports betting has to offer. If you want to bet, it's sportsinteraction.com/STPN. Or in Ontario, you can download the app using the QR code on your screen. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Our next product, pretty cool. Jesse's a bit of a disciple, not going to lie. It's
every morning.
Every morning.
Every morning.
Now, does it keep you regular, Jesse?
Like my bowels?
Yeah.
No, it's
I'm going to ask you about your butt.
It's more about gut health.
Listen, we're close enough. I can ask about his butt.
The prune juice is for the bowels.
Oh, okay.
The AG1 is for your gut health. And like I feel like it really regulates that.
75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to start your day right. Jesse, if you were keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, or all, you could take this.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm not, but good to know.
I sit next to Jesse all the time. Never farts.
Yeah, never does, unless he's had cheese, which does not exist in this.
I gotta suck him back in.
1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, artificial anything, and it all tastes great. So if you want to try it out, we want you to reclaim your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/SDP. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/SDP to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
That's the suck.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, we've talked about this many times before. Mental health is extremely important to the three of us personally. We've all been to therapy. We've all had a lot of work to do on ourselves. And it's one of those things that when somebody comes to you and says, I'm considering this, I think I said this last week, usually they're well past the point of, I really need this, right?
Yep.
And it's going to make your life better. And I highly recommend it. Steve and Jesse do too. What do you think's the thing that you got the most out of it?
Ooh, coping skills.
Yeah.
I would say like just in therapy is where you go to learn how to fish. They don't give you a fish. They teach you, man.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So if you want to check it out and you know, the great thing about BetterHelp is that you get a match with somebody very quickly, which can often be a challenge. You can do it over text. You can do it over phone. You can do it over FaceTime. We want you to live a more empowered life, and therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/SDP to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/SDP.
Hey, I'm S.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is the Objective Basketball Podcast.
We've got your hot takes, objective takes,
and maybe even some bad takes that we'll regret later. But you can find us everywhere, streaming on all platforms. The first guy to average 25, 8, and 6 in NBA history to not make an all-star game.
And if I'm Toronto, I want Herb Jones. That's who I want. But everything that I hear about New Orleans and how much, I mean, they love Herb Jones so much. And so in my mind, I don't see he could get moved. I'm not going to say something's impossible because I learned that lesson.
The Objective Basketball Podcast, delivering the NBA to you like no other.
Hey, this just broke.
Oh, so I don't get to do my thing?
It's a
Wait,
big
what's
one.
your thing?
My thing's bigger.
I don't think it is.
It is. No, it is.
Okay.
It is.
All right, you go ahead and do your thing.
Thank you. It's so important. Let's play. There's an outdoor game trivia.
Oh, where is it?
There's an outdoor game?
There's an outdoor game coming up.
Wait, this season?
This season. Who's playing in it?
You're lying.
Who's playing it?
I think this is a trick question, and there is no outdoor game.
There is.
Oh, there's probably an outdoor game.
There is an outdoor game coming up. Who is playing it? Who is your guess? A Stadium Series game?
Is it Capitals? 2 teams released their jerseys, and everyone hated them.
Yeah.
Capitals are one of them.
The Capitals was the better of the 2.
Preds?
I don't think it was the Preds. Sabres?
Nope. Adam, who's your guess?
Why do I feel like
Doesn't the jersey have like nothing on it?
Yep.
not a Preds jersey, huh? Okay.
Red Wings.
Nope.
Minnesota Wild. I don't know.
The Carolina Hurricanes
Oh!
will play the Washington Capitals in the Stadium Series Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series game February 18th.
Of course, and Timo Meyer will be present, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Gonna happen.
Hurricane Timo Meyer.
Well, speaking of trade rumors,
All right,
Adam.
so we were going to hit the Vladimir Tarasenko trade right now. And I think that you would find this tweet from Charlie Rumiliotis, who is I hope I pronounced your name right, Charlie.
I don't think you did.
Works at NBC Chicago. Right. Rumiliotis.
Those were two different pronunciations.
How would you pronounce this? It's clearly
Let me put on my glasses. Charlie Rumiliotis.
That's how I pronounced it.
Either.
Rumiliotis.
Fucking
No,
don't throw stones.
I think I got it.
Mine
Charlie,
was great.
If we're wrong, we apologize. Anyway,
I will never criticize anybody's pronunciations of names because I know I can't do it myself.
Yes.
And you, Steve, what are you doing there?
I did it with a perfect
Apologize.
Greek accent or
you
whatever.
gave
it
me the
is.
same thing.
Kiss it. Apologize.
All right, Adam.
Apologize.
Rumiliotis.
Pull him down.
Kiss it.
Pucker up, Buttercup. Patrick Kane on Vladimir Tarasenko's trade to the Rangers. Quote, "It's not like the happiest I've ever been to hear about a trade. I think the Rangers are a team that you definitely pay attention to and are definitely intrigued by for obvious reasons." Patrick Kane on whether he had the Rangers on his potential radar. Quote, "If things were going to happen, that was a team I was definitely looking at. It seems like they kind of filled their void and went ahead and made a deal. So it is what it is." Patrick Kane on if he feels his hip injury is overblown. Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure what the story is, to be honest with you, but I feel better than I did last year. It's just one of those things, maybe the story leaks out and it piles up a little bit. Now, if you're looking for context here, what the Blackhawks and what the Sharks were asking for Patrick Kane and Timo Meyer was too much for the Rangers. So they paid, I think, a relatively favorable price for Vladimir Tarasenko.
A first and a third, essentially.
And Sammy Blais, wasn't it?
Sammy Blais and Hunter Skinner, a defensive prospect.
So not all that bad. Not too bad. Not their greatest stuff, that's for sure. I mean, when you consider that they offered Hedl and a first for JT Miller last summer, that's a real trade offer that the Canucks said no to. No thanks. We don't want it. We'd rather keep them.
The one thing we didn't touch on when we talked about the Rangers going for it last episode was that we all forgot they have 2 first-round picks. They're in a unique position.
Totally
they were
forgot.
in a unique position that no contender is usually in, where they can just send out a first-round pick, and it doesn't really matter because they're going for it, and they have an extra one. And they did it, and it was a great move.
There has been a contender in recent memory to have 2 first-round picks, and one of them was the Lightning. And you know why? Because they traded JT Miller.
Hey!
They got the Canucks first-round pick, and if I'm not mistaken, they pitched one of the firsts out the door for Barclay Goodrow, and they pitched the other out the door for Blake Coleman, and then they won back-to-back cups.
Man, good moves. Good moves all around.
Those quotes.
Decent.
So, quote, that is, you know what? We never get honesty from NHL players. I'll take it.
I will absolutely take it. That is a fantastic quote. That is the right amount of juicy. That is not, it doesn't even need that much sauce.
So here's the thing.
Ooh.
Whether or not Patrick Kane feels his hip is that bad or not, other teams do. And perception is reality. If you're giving up, let's say in the Leafs case, all right, let's go Leafs on this one, because how does it affect the Leafs? That's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you want to know,
You know,
right?
it's like,
of course you do.
If you're Davidson in, it's his name, right? Davidson?
Kyle Davidson.
Kyle Davidson in Chicago, you're like, well, I would take Nyes and a first for Patrick Kane. And if you're the other Kyle, the Dubas version, you say, no, And you say, what about the hip injury? And Davidson says, well, it's not that bad. And I look at Kane's production if I'm Dubas and I go, seems like it's worse than you're leading on. And it's the reality of the situation is there have been guys in Chicago that have had good years despite the team being terrible. Patrick Kane, by Patrick Kane's standards,
yes,
hasn't been.
His production isn't like abysmal. His two-way play is non-existent. It doesn't exist. So how healthy is he going to be when you get him? How healthy is he going to be 2 months into the playoffs, ideally?
Mm-hmm.
Where does he fit in your lineup? Do his warts prevent him from playing a first-line role on a good team?
Mm-hmm.
And now that, Tarasenko's off the board, Meyer's already a bigger fish,
mm-hmm.
Horvat's off the board, I'm starting to think that Kane, the picks involved are going to have to be heavily conditional. And they're going to have to be based on playoff success and or games played.
Yeah.
Because if that's the main concern, I'm giving you, I wouldn't be shocked to see something like, it isn't going to be the only pick involved, relax, but I could see something like, yeah, we'll give you a third that turns into a first if he plays X percentage of the regular season games,
yes,
and then X percentage of the playoff games.
I think you got it. I think it has, if I'm a GM and I've been a GM in NHL 23, so I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's 100%.
I know what I'm talking about.
When
Here,
you say if I'm a GM, you say I am a GM, and here's what I would do.
Exactly. So you should be listening to my advice. That's how I'm going about it. It's, hey, he needs to play 80% of our playoff games. Because right now, we don't know if Patrick Kane can hold up. He's saying he can do it. Obviously, he's going to say he can hold up.
Out in the worst way, it sounds like.
He's trying to go to New York. He's trying to go anywhere. Of course, Patrick Kane's going to say he can hold up. But there needs to be trade protection. He needs to play in a good amount of playoff games for this trade to be worth anybody's money.
Do you remember, can you look up the Jonathan Bernier trade from Toronto to Anaheim? And there is a reason I bring this up, because it wasn't a deadline deal, but it is the most condition-laden trade I've ever seen.
There you go.
And you're going to need some... Look at that shit! That is a page of a book. Okay. The Ducks acquire Jonathan Bernier, $4.15 million. The Leafs acquire a 2017 conditional pick. Conditions. If Bernier starts half of Anaheim's playoff games next spring and the Ducks win the Stanley Cup, Toronto receives the Ducks' 2017 second-round pick. If Anaheim doesn't still own that selection, it will transfer its next available second-rounder from a future year. If Bernier starts half of Anaheim's playoff games next spring and the Ducks lose in the Stanley Cup final, Toronto receives the Ducks' 2017 third-round pick. If Anaheim doesn't still own that selection, it will transfer its next available third-rounder from a future year. Should Anaheim trade Bernier to a team that starts him in half of its playoff games next spring and wins the Stanley Cup, Toronto receives the Ducks' second-round pick. Should Anaheim trade Bernier to a team that starts him in half its playoff games next spring and loses in the Stanley Cup final, Toronto receives the Ducks' third-round pick. Result, condition not met.
Man, it's like they planned for everything.
It could.
That is funny.
I think I would not be shocked at all to see something like that happen for Kane. The only reason it might not happen that way is some team is going to be left without a dance partner, and the Blackhawks hold strong and say, listen, you got to give us an unconditional pick or we're not making the deal. Or it's got to be these conditions, like easily meetable conditions or reasonable, something like that. Dude, you don't know what player you're getting.
You got no idea.
The nameplate will say Kane. I'm sure his number will be 88. But who is he? Is he a dude who can win a Conn Smythe and win you a Stanley Cup and lead your team in playoff scoring? Or is he this dude who can play like a Patrick Kane imposter and be sloppy defensively? Or is he going to play like this dude who fucking can't make it for the next 2 months of grinding hockey?
Because it is It's shitty.
It's shitty.
It's shitty on the body.
It's, dude, like we're talking about him being busted now. It's early February. This dude's going to be playing till mid-June. You're getting a guy who's going to be an asset for you winning in mid-June. And that's your guy? No, I don't blame the Rangers for going out and getting Tarasenko, who has played fewer games this season, by the way.
I wonder what CJ will say about this on Monday. I hope they bring it up because he always has sort of insights on this. But I mean, a player being this open about wanting to be traded is rare in the NHL. In the NBA, as we saw with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, it's like, yeah, I want to go. See you later. Well, I'm not happy here. Bye.
No wonder the Blackhawks want to keep Max Domi. He, at very least, seems excited about wanting to be there.
He likes to be in Chicago.
Yeah. He's the number one team ambassador right now.
Yeah. He's out there like shooting stuff with Marky Mark and like doing his thing.
How many old Blackhawks fans ever thought they would own a Domi Blackhawks jersey?
Yeah, right?
After all the Ty and Bob Probert stuff and
Crazy. I'm looking at we should talk about the Tarasenko trade because him going to New York after the season he had last year. I mean, this year he has one more goal than Patrick Kane, but he's played in like 8 less games.
Yeah, and Kane is how many games has he played? 48?
48
Kane?
games, yes.
Yeah.
46.
He's minus 24.
Right, and Vladimir Tarasenko, minus 18.
Yeah, also not very good at all.
But here's what's interesting about both of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Vladimir Tarasenko's career shooting percentage is almost 13. It's 12.7.
Sure.
12.7. This year he's a 9.7. So you expect that to go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane's career, he is, obviously known as a bit more of a playmaker.
Yes.
But has had a couple 40-goal years, if I'm not... I think he's got 2.
30 at very least.
He's shooting 5.8%.
Jeez.
And last year it was a 9.1. And his career average is 11.4. And I just think 5.8% doesn't spell cold to me. 5.8% feels like injured to me.
Yeah, but remember Taylor Hall with the Sabres? He was shooting under 3%. Mm-hmm. And then he went to Boston and scored.
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah.
And people were like, what? I don't understand. It's like, what do you mean you don't understand?
They were terrible.
He's playing on a piece of shit team. And his shots were probably not
But
as
Chicago
good.
was terrible last year and Kane had 26 goals.
I know. That's what caught my eye when I was looking at his numbers just now. Like, they were still bad last year. Maybe not quite as bad, but they were still bad. And he was at very least incredibly productive. Everything has taken a hit. And if you're the Rangers and you're like, all right, here's this potentially busted left-handed shot on the right wing, and here's this other potentially busted left-handed shot on the right wing, I'm going to go with the cheaper one. It's a risk either way, so I'm going to go with the one that costs this and this and this.
And St. Louis retained 50% in that deal too, which allows the Rangers, I think, to go and get more.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about cheap in terms of the actual money, because that's the most true part of this. Is Vladimir Tarasenko is a cheaper asset and a better player.
So he's 50% retained. I think he makes 7.5, so that'd be 375.
375. You're
50% of Patrick Kane is still
5.
Yeah,
5.25. I think. Isn't he making
5.25?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is, and I mean, like I said, the Rangers can go out and do something else if they want to.
And then who knows what Davidson is asking for right now? It might have been a first round pick. It might have been what they're looking for to get out of Tarasenko. It might have been the same thing. So why not pay the price for Tarasenko?
And
it's a better
if
asset.
you're Davidson, of course you ask for that. I mean, Doug Armstrong just got it, did he? Mm-hmm. Did he not?
And Jesse has their lineup on the screen. We talked about this last show. Like, why not simply make the Rangers more ridiculous up front? Look at that ridiculous nonsense.
Read it out for those who cannot see it.
Panarin, Zibanejad, Tarasenko is the first line.
LMAO.
Kreider, Trocheck, Kravtsov is the second line.
Not bad.
Laugh, Hedel, Kako, third line.
Bad.
VC, Goudreau, Gauthier is the fourth line.
And VC's been fantastic.
VC's been up on the first line.
Is that ready to go?
Julian.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, Freddie's in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a death lineup. It's ridiculous.
Oh. And they, have Adam Fox too. Just
there's nothing wrong with the D right now. You could probably the thing about the two
they acquired someone on D too.
Yeah, they got Mikkola, who's not that's not an insignificant piece at all. That is a very good depth defenseman. And the thing about the 2 first round picks is, and the salary on Tarasenko is that they can make another move.
Pardon me for sounding old and like your uncle, but I saw people posting Mikola's like chart numbers, and I'm like, oh, okay, how many times do we have to go through this? They acquired him for the playoffs when the rules change, and he will be allowed to punch and beat the shit out of you. And do they have those charts and graphs and whatever for strictly playoff numbers? Now, I don't know if Mikola's ever played in the playoffs.
But a lot of people would say, I mean, that's not a big enough sample size.
Yep.
But that's what you
Never
get.
is it? Show me.
Yeah.
Never is it?
Man,
Show me.
It's tough looking at that Rangers lineup as a Leaf fan, and I know how we are so spoiled here. We have the 4th place team in the league, but, the idea of a Rick Dicklish, like, or like, a McCabe Lafferty trade, it's sort of like,
I'm waiting for them to, he's been described as Yarncroak Light.
Yeah. I
can't fucking wait.
No, I
give up a 2nd round pick for that shit.
There's more there. I think there's more there. There is. Man, the Rangers are going to be going. Hey, did you guys see this report from Michael Russo?
Which?
He has several reports every year, but Michael Russo in his article talked about how several NHL players to this day smoke cigarettes every intermission.
Jesus.
Still?
Yeah.
What?
That doesn't surprise me too much. I remember apparently Danny Markov, who was a Leaf for a long, long time, used to smoke every intermission as well.
That surprises me a lot.
Like still today?
Like right now.
Yeah.
Guys are smoking cigarettes
during
hockey games.
Michael Russo detailed what happens during NHL intermissions. Players revealed that they still know a good amount of their colleagues that smoke during every intermission. Much more common in older eras, of course, but there are several players that still take smoke breaks between periods. And I want to know where. You can't smoke inside, or you guess you can.
Maybe they're vaping?
Oh, they're probably vaping.
A little e-cigarette?
Yeah, they're probably not. They're probably not like ashing on the floor.
Right. Maybe a little vape.
There's that famous...
That's fucking shocking to me.
There's that famous photo of, I think it's Dion Phaneuf and Mika Kiprasov at a party, and they're smoking, but that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. I thought, now we've got to the point where we know everything that goes into nutrition and health for professional athletes who are paying millions of dollars to play this game. And they're still like, oh, yeah, I smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, but
that's so weird.
You would reek of it. Like, you wouldn't even be able to keep that a secret.
That's so weird.
Okay.
I get it. At beer league, that's a good time.
I think, yeah.
But,
yeah.
But you mean games that don't matter?
I get drinking and playing hockey, but you're a professional and you got an NHL game on Wednesday and you're like, let me have a cigarette during second period after I talked to Kyle doing
You must smell it too as a player
intermission interview
in the league. If you like when people smoke, you can smell it. You'd be able to smell it on their breath or through their sweat for sure.
I cannot believe their coach would have patience for that.
Yeah.
Like, because what if you do that and then you have a shitty third period?
Well, then they're probably obviously good.
Well, this has to be a star because,
do you think Connor Timmins is a ripping a dart after having a variable extension? I don't think so.
We need Kyle Bukauskas or Sean McKenzie on this show, and we need to ask them. Have you ever done a third or second period intermission and a dude's breath has smelled like cigarettes?
Well, they would probably smoke after the interview.
No, like they say they smoke in between 1 and 2, and then they got to talk to Sean for the in between 2 and 3.
You would still smell it.
But I could just picture someone smoking before the third period, having a bad third period, costing their team the game, and then a coach like Daryl Sutter is asked a question like, "Yeah, so what'd you think of so-and-so's third period? He seemed to struggle out there." "Well, yeah, he smokes between periods. What do you expect?"
Like, it doesn't I don't think it'll hinder your game directly, but over time
it will.
Lung capacity.
Yeah.
Like, you're hurting your body, and your whole thing is health and breath control and being a professional athlete. That's mind blowing to me. I'm shocked.
It's a
when
wild
did he write
story.
about that?
It was this week, and he said that obviously none of the players wanted to disclose who it was.
Well, yeah,
as you would expect, because you're narking on somebody, and that's the wrong thing to do.
He knows.
Of course, he knows.
He knows.
Those reporters, man, those guys, they know a lot.
And don't worry, they're not on the Wild. Definitely not in the Wild.
Don't start rumors. No,
He asked
no.
a player, and the player said,
No, don't start rumors.
"Yeah, no, don't do that."
No,
Don't do
oh,
that.
they're dead. They're certainly not a former Wild.
You're thinking about reporters.
I don't understand why you're laughing.
Well, would it be okay? So here's what I don't think it would be. It wouldn't be Parise because Lou.
Whoa, hey, what are you
Because Lou doesn't let you breathe the wrong way.
I am not.
No. Yeah, that was Adam Wilde who said that, not anybody else.
I would never assume. Oh, I'm not.
Oh, no.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But it was definitely not someone
No.
who used to be on the Wild who one of his former teammates has an axe to grind with. Sure, it's definitely not.
I don't know. Did they have an 11-year contract and they've been around the league for a long
I
time? I don't
$1,000,000% know who I think it is, but no.
No, don't do
I
that.
think I have an idea as well.
Adam,
We're
you're
not
thinking
doing
about
this.
reporters. They definitely know stuff. There was a time when, or some of them still do, they ride the team planes.
Oh yeah,
Like they know these guys intimately.
Oh,
they
yeah.
see them every day.
Yep.
You know, so they do know things.
yeah.
There is an infamous story, and it's not my story to tell, so I'm going to say it very vaguely. But I think it was 3 or 4 reporters were in the same room, and something had happened, and it was a little strange, but they weren't going to make a big deal of it. And they all work for different publications, and they talk to each other, and they're like, "Is this a thing? This isn't a thing, right? Are you going to talk about it? I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, fine." And then one of them ran with it after saying they wouldn't, so that they had an exclusive. And all of a sudden it became this big thing and they had it first.
Oh,
Even though, but I don't know, should we begrudge them for doing their job, even if they did it in kind of a sneaky way?
it's kind of shitty.
It is kind of shitty. They also did their job.
Sure.
I'm trying to, I can't remember what it was.
Mhm.
So I'm actually not like keeping secrets here.
No one on the Wild has ever smoked a cigarette.
No,
No ex-Wild.
definitely not.
No.
Otherwise, why would he have it? What? I've been sick a lot recently, and I have pink eye.
Steve is winking at the camera like WandaVision here.
No, I
and
have
it's
an eyelash. I have beautiful long eyelashes, and they just keep.
Okay. Let me ask you this as a fan. Do you care? Like, let's say Austin Matthews smokes and it comes out that Austin Matthews smokes.
I'd be fucking pissed.
You'd be mad?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
$11 million, Austin. We put the 34 in your contract and you can't just not smoke cigarettes during a hockey game?
Well, and people would be like, yeah, but he puts up 60 goals.
Could put up 62.
Well, what? First of all, he could be even better. You're right. Second of all, yeah, now.
It's so funny.
What about later?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about 10 years from now when your lungs don't work?
Yes, and that does happen. Oh, the other thing.
Listen, if you smoke, I don't give a shit what you do with your life.
We're not talking about you.
I'm not talking about you.
And listen, I hate to tell you this,
Angry
but
guy in the comments.
you're not a high-end athlete.
I'm talking about the peak of your job is to be a health person and run around on knife shoes and play hockey. What are you doing with your body?
Nice shoes.
Like
Jesse Blake, health person.
Yeah.
He drinks the shit that Lewis Hamilton drinks. It makes your poop
I
green.
love athletic greens. It's awesome.
I want to ask you this because I remember this quote, and this has to be 3-4 years ago. But I remember listening to 32 Thoughts one day, and Jeff Merrick's like, at this point, and it is a Jeff Merrick-ism, and I would say it to him if he was sitting right here. Okay, so I'm not speaking out of school, but he's like, he and Elliot were going back and forth about how intense some of these guys are about what they eat and what they drink. One guy that was like, everybody talks about Nathan McKinnon because I think the Zadorov story blew it wide open.
Yes.
What Zadorov said. And what did Zadorov say? It was something about the pop machine, wasn't it?
No, it was, he has like chickpea pasta, which as a half Italian is half a war crime.
Right. Well, and then didn't he say like, guys, you can have chocolate in the off season. Like we're trying to win a cup here or something like that. It was like,
and then what was it with the apples?
Look that up with the apples.
You know what? Yeah. I feel like we didn't make a big enough deal out of the fact that the year after Nathan McKinnon got narked on, they won.
Yeah.
He was right. chickpea pasta guy was right on the money.
Yeah.
That's why he's so fast, by the way.
Okay, so
imagine the farts.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just propelling him forward. But chickpea pasta?
Jeff Merrick said, at this point, when you so much money on the line, and objectively he has a point, but I don't think as a human you can accept this. Do you know what I'm saying? So he's like, at this point, why would you even have a beer?
A beer?
And he's right in a vacuum. Now, a human being could never live up to that. Most human beings, anyway. Lots of people don't drink, but you know what I'm saying. It's
Right.
like, to basically go the whole season without any sort of treat or relaxing thing for most people, unless you're a mutant, Nathan McKinnon, is almost impossible. But that stuck out to me because I was like, man, Jeff's right. Why would you have a beer? And yet I know if I was a health person on knife shoes, I would for sure have a beer. Because occasionally, and it's not very much because it makes me sleepy, I like a beer. And it's a stressful fucking job.
Like, a lot of the stuff from like the 80s, 90s made for like good books. But when you think about it, you're like, how is it possible? Like, all the Michael Jordan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth were you like the best player in the world by far?
Yeah.
And there's this story.
He's having
this
like
story,
a
this
pizza
story, this
hungover,
story.
going out gambling, whatever he was doing. By the way, Jesse, is the Apple thing the Jack Eichel story?
Yes, that's what
I
I'm
have it
thinking
here,
about.
too.
You got Jack
Do you
Eichel
want me to
Apple
read
story?
it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I just saw it. It's like the only problem, the shitty apples. Okay, so we'll get to that.
That's the one I want to talk
From
about.
2019, this was one of my favorite things we did on the podcast at the time, and I forgot about it.
You broke down his ridiculous. Yeah.
Jack Eichel has a crazy routine. From Sports Illustrated's Alex Pruitt. So Alex was like, okay, hit me. Because Jack said I do the same thing every day. He's like, okay, I wake up, I go to the rink. I have egg whites, oatmeal, strawberries. I have an apple juice, which is interesting because that's full of sugar. I go have a Gatorade with a water. Then I have a Gatorade. I don't know what Gatorade is, but whatever. I tape my stick. I get on the ice, pregame skate, get off. Then I flush from our massage guy Then I get a flush massage from our guy on my legs. After that, I shower, get in the cold tub for 4 minutes, get out, go home. Sam Reinhart and I, we live together. Now we live 4 houses down from each other. Picks me up for our pregame meal at a restaurant we like.
Now they live 4 divisions away from each other.
I go pick it up at his house, grab it, eat it at like 12:30 and then 12:30 to 1 in that area. And I have a couple of Pellegrinos with it. Those are those small water bottles that are fizzy. I sleep from 2 to 3:45. I wake up at 3:45. I put my suit on. I go get coffee. Usually show up at the rink at 4:30. Then I take a shower, go to a cold tub again. Then I get out of the cold tub, get dressed, go to the training room, put on my Normatec pants, which are those big, crazy pants that you see people in. I think McDavid's got a very famous picture in those. Normatec pants come off at 5:05. Then I go cut my stick down. Then I change my skate laces. Then I tape my stick. Then I go to a meeting. Then I get out of a meeting. Then I finish that, eat an apple, finish eating the apple, put a heat pack on my back, and then take the heat pack off my back and take 2 Advil.
And he did all that so that at the end of the night, it could be like, and the Sabres drop another one, 5-2.
So Alex,
the apple.
So Alex Pruitt says, does it have to be the same kind of apple? I love that Alex Pruitt was like, of all the things that you picked out, Alex is like, tell me more about the apple.
Yeah, I feel like he and I would be friends.
And Eichel said, no, it changes depending on where we are. That's the only problem. Shitty apples. So
do certain towns have bad apples?
Well, I think because in the wintertime, you get it shipped north and they're shitty. Yeah. Like you've had apples before and they're just water, right? Like they're just shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said, I do that. I usually, so he's not done, by the way. He goes, yeah, that's the only problem. Shitty apples. And then he goes back to his routine, snaps back into Jack Eichel Robotron.
Or like Jack Apple.
Yeah. And then he says, I do that.
Very
I usually
good.
change, get ready, foam roll, stretch, warm up, get activation, finish, go back to the shower, get out of the shower, start getting my gear on, jock, socks, skates, lace ups. Then I lace 2 eyelets down, and then I leave them untied, and then I tie my right one, and then I tie my left one. Then on the right shin pad, and then on the left shin pad, take 2 electrolyte pills, get ready, take my bracelets off, chain off, same thing, chuck a stick of gum in, and then do the same warm-up every time. I get off the ice, get on the bike, do a hard minute on the bike after warm-ups with some of my gear on, take some of it off, some of it on, some of it off, take my stuff off, go to the training room. There's this tissue massage gun, which I guess is one of those like ones that you, yeah. Then I go to the room, retape my stick every single time. Even crazier than that, I have my headphones on, headphones in before a game. I listen to music at the same time. If I have my Normatec pants on, I have 3 songs I listen to. I have 2 songs I listen to when I tape my sticks. I have a song I listen to when I foam row, a song I listen to when I stretch, and I have a song I listen to when I warm up, when I tie my laces. And I have the same songs I listen to every day, depending upon what I'm doing. This is what I'm listening to. And then he kind of goes into this whole thing. And I just imagine a cigarette in there.
Here's my theory. If Jack Eichel didn't do that exhausting fucking routine, he'd have 172 points every year.
What?
That sounds so tiring.
No, that's how he's gotten to be Jack Eichel.
No, I know.
How dare you?
No, and it's amazing comparing that routine to, hey, hack a dart. Like, it's not even hack a dart in your regular life. You hack a dart mid-game, which I'm not a doctor, but I'm positive is worse. Mid-game?
That's why I was shocked when you said, I was literally shocked when you said that, Adam.
Well, but you know, there's different personalities in every business. There's some who are a little bit more type A, Jack Eichel. Yeah. And then there's some that are perhaps a little more creative and
Phil Kessel.
And a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants. Phil Kessel.
Yeah. Forget smoking. My chest hurts when I walk around New York. Like, how do you smoke and be a professional athlete? That's
because
wild.
You're a professional athlete and you're mutant and you're not built the same.
That is a thing. By
like
the way.
Phil, what was his thing that we discovered when he was breaking all the records for the most games? He loves Pepsi, or is it Coke before the game? He'll have 3 of those. Yeah. Phil, he loves his Coca-Cola.
I remember years ago when that hot dog story about him broke, we had Justin Bourne on.
Yeah.
And Justin played in the E. His dad played in the NHL.
Justin played in the A as well.
Oh, he played in the A? Okay, sorry. Apologies, Justin. And, you know, obviously was a video coach too. And Justin said, among other things that episode, okay, so if Phil Kessel eats 2 hot dogs before a game, what's the big fucking deal anyway? Because honestly, he's like, those guys burn like 10,000 calories a day. He's like, not all of it are going to be good calories.
No.
There's nothing wrong. For a guy, he's like, for you and I, we can't do that. For a guy like that.
But you can burn through the hot dog.
Yes. That's the problem is that when you're sitting at a desk all day, you're not burning through the hot dog.
Right. But also.
And it's also got some protein in it.
Like, can you work off the tar in your chest?
From the cigarette? No. No, you can't.
I don't know.
Anyway,
again, if you smoke, I don't give a shit. Live your life. I hope it's a happy one. But professional athletes maybe shouldn't smoke between periods. Well, that's crazy.
Listen, hey, they're making more money than us.
I mean,
way more money than us.
Imagine how much more money they'd make if they didn't smoke.
Right. And one story about Phil Kessel, about his workout routine. This is from an anonymous player. One player came out of the gym swearing and annoyed. Kessel was reading a magazine while everyone else sweated away. And this player, who prefers to remain anonymous, asked if Kessel was going to bother joining everybody. Kessel replied, "Want to see what I can do?" He proceeded to destroy everyone else in the leg press and went back to the magazine.
I would bet every dollar it's Dion Phaneuf.
You think so?
Yeah.
Man.
Every dollar. Because I could just see him. Hey, Phil. Because we saw them. There's that famous clip of Phil going, "Shut your fucking mouth," to Phaneuf when he was captain of the Leafs on the ice before a face-off. And I could see, "Hey, Phil, why don't you freaking get off your ass?" You know what that voice he has.
Yeah.
Phil, why don't you get off?
That's your Dion?
Yeah, Phil. and then you know Phil was just
disrespectful.
Like, you know, he just like threw 400, 500 on the bar and just fucking killed everybody.
I got a message from John, by the way, during the show about Phil.
Who's John?
He's a listener to the show.
Okay.
And it just ties in here perfectly.
Do we know John?
No, we don't know John.
No. Where's John from?
Tavares.
I don't know where John's from. It's not
London.
in his Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
He's from Barrie.
Oakville,
Okay, he's
whatever.
from Barrie.
Oh, John from Barrie.
John
Okay.
from Barrie says,
Line 1.
Adam, you need to start the train for Phil Kessel to come to the Toronto All-Star game.
Yes.
And I think that is an absolute fucking must. That has to happen.
They wouldn't allow it.
They have to let Phil come.
They
Vote Phil in.
The fan vote's not real.
Still, we got to try next year.
Remember when Bo Horvat was on a Western Conference team and got traded to an Eastern Conference team, and the easy solution was simply let him play for the Western Conference team? Did they ever apologize to John Scott? Because if they did, they should again. Those fuckers.
I'm telling you, Phil Kessel, All-Star game.
I am
2024.
into it.
That'd be cool.
It would be
I'm
cool,
into it.
right? Wouldn't that be
Very cool.
sick? And you know what? I think give us something. Come on.
Yeah.
We haven't made it to the second round since 2004. Give us
It'd be
something.
like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
For Toronto Maple Leafs fans and Phil Kessel and their relationship.
He was also the guy when they did the All-Star draft who was picked fucking last.
Yep.
In a Leafs jersey. Let this guy in.
I was there for that.
Were you?
That was the Columbus
So
one.
apparently that was the reason they stopped doing it.
It was too fun. It was simply too fun.
Next week, on Sunday, there will be a draft. Or maybe they're doing the draft on Friday, but the NBA All-Star game will be holding a draft for the teams. They're still doing it. They're fine with it. They think it's funny.
Yeah, but why would the NHL follow their much more successful
the NHL
lead?
was doing it first.
Yeah.
You had the winning formula. You had it. It was right there. Just grab it. Just grab it.
Yeah, but the NHLPA went, huh? And then they woke up and decided this is the thing that we're mad about.
You can hurt, your coaches can hurt our players, but you can't hurt their feelings on national TV.
And then they went to sleep again for another several years like a fucking cicada. Useless.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I just thought I'd bring those things up. Shall we do the press conference?
Sure.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Fun fact about Jesse Blake, he smokes between segments. That's why he's
me.
so phlegmy all the time.
That's me.
Phlegmy Jesse is what we call him.
That's me smoking my cigars, actually.
Do you remember that story Jax told us about the smoking McNeils?
No, I don't know that. No.
So, this is a Nova Scotia special. And if you don't understand Nova Scotia, I want you to imagine that a bunch of the funniest people you've ever met all ended up in the same place. That's the East Coast of Canada. And I think this is a Newfoundlander one, but essentially these guys, the McNeils, all jumped on a plane together, and they're a huge family. And then I know base levels on this story. So they jump on this plane and they're going to like Mexico on vacation. And I think some of them have come back from the rigs in Alberta.
Yep.
And so they've basically taken over this plane. If your entire family's on a plane and you've got every seat, it's like they don't own you, you own them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I guess one of them started lighting up a dart in midair, and then all of them did. And they turned the plane around and dropped them back in, I think, Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or whatever. But yeah, and then there was a whole newspaper, the Smoking McNeils headline. Anyway, that's an East Coast Canada story for you. She could tell it better than I could, but very funny.
Why?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Just why?
This question's from Myth26. I think it's an interesting one. It's from our Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, go to sdpn.ca and click the link that says join us on Discord. Myth26 says, my birthday is on February 26th. Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
The same day as the Kraken Leafs game. I'm from Seattle, the Seattle area, and got into hockey watching the Leafs. But I've been following the Kraken closely this season, and I have merch for both the Leafs and the Kraken. I have tickets to see my two favorite teams in my hometown on my birthday. Which team do I wear?
Ooh.
I cannot answer that question for you. No, what's their name?
Myth26.
Myth26. Listen, Myth. Your heart will know the answer.
What a cop-out.
I can answer it for you, but only you know how much you love the Leafs. Only you know how much you love the Seattle Kraken. And one day, you'll be holding one jersey in one hand, one jersey in the other, and you'll know the right answer. No matter which jersey you put on, you'll know the right answer. Don't force it. Don't let me tell you what to do. And definitely not Adam or Jesse. Those guys are idiots. You will know the right thing to do when the time comes. And I believe in you. Don't smoke.
That's good. Good addition.
Also,
Adam, what's the right answer?
I think the right answer is going to be the Leafs. But I wouldn't blame you if you went Kraken because it is your local team, and I'm all about supporting the local sports team.
The correct answer is wear a Jared McCann Leafs jersey.
See, the thing is, it's not.
There you go.
Is it your local team if you're now living in Toronto?
Oh, no.
But you're from the Seattle area.
Yeah. If you hadn't committed to a team before leaving Seattle, now you're a Leafs fan.
Yeah, well, they didn't have a team.
There you go. That's why my answer is what it is.
And one thing I always default to, even like if I go to another city and I watch a game, like say I'm in Boston, I'm watching Red Sox, Orioles. I'm now a Red Sox fan. You know, just for that day, I sit in the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm with. I'm not going to be like, oh no, go Orioles.
Now,
you know?
if you're a Rough Riders fan, you're not. You could be at the wrong sport and you're still cheering for the Rough Riders.
But a lacrosse game.
Yeah, be like, I know you could be at baseball. You'd be like, you know what, go Riders. But I like when we went to Boston. Did we watch the Jays in Boston?
No, I don't think they were playing that weekend.
No,
I think
we
it was just,
saw a Red Sox game.
Yeah, we went to Fenway,
and that was sick. And I could cheer for the Red Sox then.
When something good happens for the home team, I'm clapping for that.
We were cheering for the. We were like,
was it?
We were enthused for the Canadians on my bachelor party.
We were wearing Leaf jerseys.
I know, but we were wearing Leaf jerseys. But we were still doing that.
Dicks.
I think when you go to an arena that's not yours, so a team you don't cheer for, and you're in that city, you should be doing the things that the home crowd is doing.
Did you see? So the Rangers and Flames had a notoriously heated game this past week.
We talked about it.
There was a guy front row, Madison Square Garden, Oilers jersey.
I love that.
Cheering his heart out for the Rangers when they won the game.
That's hilarious. I love that. See, that's good because if you've got some skin in the game, like if it's a team that you hate too.
His skin in the game was fuck the Flames.
Have you watched Welcome to Wrexham yet?
2 episodes.
Okay, so I'm like 9 episodes in and I just fucking love it. But they talk about the away game thing and how guys will, everybody jumps on a bus on a Saturday, Tuesday or a Saturday.
Explain what Welcome to Wrexham is.
So it's Ryan Reynolds, who, is Deadpool, Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny. They bought a Welsh football club that is 4 leagues below the Premier League. And they used to be up in the Champions League, which is the league below the Premier League or the Championship League or whatever it's called.
Whatever it is.
And then they got relegated because they had shitty owners who tried to like sell the land for like development. And it's interesting because you see these fans and the industry's been stripped out of the town. They almost took the team away. It's the oldest professional sports stadium in the world.
Oh, wow.
This story is crazy. It's
older than the Coliseum.
I was about to say,
currently
this is
in use.
Italian
Oh, yeah. I'm going to disrespect everybody in Italy.
You're right.
I'm Adam Wilde.
Okay, ones that are still in use. And they're the 3rd oldest professional soccer team in the world, which is crazy as well. I think the crazy part about it was like it's a Tuesday night. These guys all get off work. Well, they get off work early. They go 3 hours in a bus, everybody together, and they go and they watch Wrexham lose. And then they're not back until probably 2 a.m. and they got to get up for work at like 6.
Ew.
And they're just like, but that's what the fans do, right? Like that. Damn. See that as so if they listen to this show, they'd be like, you guys aren't real fans. You guys aren't real fans. You can't go to another game and watch someone else and cheer for someone. You can't do that. The guy who is in the Oilers jersey cheering for the Flames to lose, that guy was doing it right.
That's the real fan.
That's a real fan. That's a fan who's like, yeah, get out of here, losers. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's happening.
You're making me fiend for a friggin' footy match.
You got to see this series. It's so good.
I got to go back to Aberdeen. And I don't know. I think they built a new stadium because it was Pittodrie. But they either renovated it or got a new one.
So my stepmom's family from Scotland, they're all Rangers fans.
I got to go watch another scoreless draw.
New York Rangers.
No.
They're really happy about the Tarasenko deal.
Glasgow. But I want to go and I want to see a game in Scotland, and I want to see an EPL game. I think that's on a bucket list to see a game like that.
I want to see one of those European hockey games that we watch videos of when like the crowd is on fire.
Yes.
I want to see one of those.
Those Swiss Elite League teams, like they all have their own chance. Do you not want to? Should we not take the podcast on the road to a Swiss Elite League game?
So we'll tack that onto our Guernsey live show. We'll go to Guernsey, get like a fish and chips. But only go to
fucking Guernsey, not actually the rest of the UK.
No. Just Guernsey and stay at like a quiet hotel and have fish and chips. And then like go to, I don't know, see like a Swiss or Swedish or German game in September. and then come back for the.
Here's one for
And
NHL.
Adam won't visit the Coliseum because it doesn't exist.
it doesn't exist in my mind.
You're not allowed in.
It's made up. It's made up.
Fine.
I want to ask for our European listeners actually, who's got the best of the clubs in the German league and the Swiss league and the Finnish league, the Swedish league? Who has the best support? Like, who's got the loudest stadium? Like, if you were coming over here and you were like, objectively, what's the best game experience? I'd say Nashville. I'd say Winnipeg. I'd say Montreal. Love Toronto, and it's bougie, but it's a little quiet. Tampa's a lot of fun. I'm just trying to think of like the arenas that really stand out in terms of fan support. The Avalanche. That is a great place to go watch hockey. You know, those are the ones that just sort of come to mind. I want
the
that
Islanders half a dozen times.
Oh,
a year.
the Islanders are fucking
And the
bananas.
playoffs.
Yeah. They're the Islanders absolutely.
If you give them a cause,
they unite.
Oh yeah, and their cause was recently "We Love Bo Horvat." By the way, Beauvillier scoring the winner against the Islanders.
Ooh. Visiting
the Islanders.
Ooh.
I just think it's funny how
redemption
is pretty good.
Yeah.
I want to shout out an Islanders fan who had a jersey that was a Beauvillier jersey, but they taped over Villiers and put Horvat.
Did you see that?
So good.
What was the Kevin Durant jersey that somebody put marker on? It was like is it Bender or something like that who played for Blenders? I don't know. It basically they turned it into Kevin Durant. Like somebody took it. Because his number's 35, right?
Yeah.
So somebody here. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, you're doing a bad job.
Okay, hang on. I gotta find this damn jersey. I'm gonna find it. No, you keep going. Keep going with the question.
Keep going with what? We're waiting for the jersey.
I'll find it.
Okay, we're gonna sit here.
And no, we're
wait. Not. We're gonna wait till you do it.
No, we can't.
And you find.
No, we can't. This is bad.
So you get it. This is awful radio, Adam. You should know better.
You stink. Boo.
All right, I'm gonna end the show.
Oh no,
Julian.
No! Somebody took a permanent marker to their old Suns jersey and made it into a Kevin Durant jersey. It was really funny.
That's how we're going into the weekend with your shitty Durant jersey.
I gotta find it. Stop liking McLaren tweets, Adam. Stop liking them. Oh, I can't find it. I don't. Nah.
Adam, you're really good at this.
Boo.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.